Imagine being dragged into a courtroom, not in chains, not alive, but dead. Your body is propped up before a judge. Witnesses are called, charges are read aloud, and a verdict will be passed on you even though you've been in the grave for months. This sounds like fiction, but in medieval Europe, it happened. In the year 897, Rome was in chaos. The city was tearing itself apart with rival factions, collapsing authority, and raw political fear. And in the middle of it all, a new pope needed an enemy who could not fight back, so he chose a corpse. The body belonged to Pope Formosus, a former pope who had already been buried in full ceremonial robes. His successor ordered the grave opened. The decomposed body was exhumed, dressed again in papal garments, and placed on a throne inside a church. This event would later be known as the Cadaver Synod. A dead man was formally put on trial. A deacon was appointed to speak for the corpse, answering accusations on its behalf, while the Pope himself interrogated the body directly. The charges were absurd and terrifying at the same time: ambition, betrayal, holding power illegally. But this wasn't about justice, it was about fear. Medieval law wasn't just about punishing the living, it was about restoring cosmic order. If a ruler believed a predecessor had poisoned reality itself, morally or spiritually, then even death didn't erase the crime. To medieval minds, authority was sacred. If a pope was illegitimate, then everything he touched became unstable. Laws, appointments, even God's favor. Putting a corpse on trial was a way to rewrite reality. The verdict was guilty. The punishment was symbolic but brutal. The corpse's fingers, the ones used for blessings, were cut off. His papal acts were annulled. And then the body was thrown into the Tiber River, as if erasing him physically could erase him from history. But here's the twist. The people of Rome were horrified. Soon after, political winds shifted again. The pope who staged the trial was overthrown, imprisoned, and died shortly after, possibly murdered. Pope Formosus was quietly retrieved from the river and reburied with honor. The dead man was, in a sense, acquitted. This wasn't an isolated madness. Across medieval Europe, animals were put on trial for crimes. Pigs were executed for murder. Rats were summoned to court and formally excused when they failed to appear. Even objects could be condemned. Why? Because the medieval world believed chaos had intent. Disaster wasn't random. Someone or something had to be responsible. And if no living person could safely take the blame, the dead would do. The Cadaver Synod reveals something unsettling. When institutions feel threatened, they stop caring about truth and start performing control. The trial wasn't meant to convince God, it was meant to terrify the living. And maybe that's the most uncomfortable part, because even today, when systems collapse, we still put the past on trial. We rewrite narratives, we condemn symbols, we fight ghosts instead of fixing reality. In medieval Rome, they used a corpse. Now we use history, different tools, same fear,